Hello, my loves. Hello, hello, hello. My name is Dustina. This is Boujee Astrology, and we're going to take a look at the full moon in Libra. This full moon in Libra that will, for many people, be a culmination and level up energy, or it is going to be something that leads to things being dismissed, disgraced, discarded, ended, cleared out. In many, many ways, this eclipse is going to unbalance the scales because the South Node is going through Libra. Now, before we do any type of like further pickup or review or anything like that, I want to make some announcements. One, there will not be any Facebook Lives this week. This eclipse energy has already started to culminate with members of my family, and I need to be available for them over the next 48 hours, just to be clear about that. Two, something that I didn't put into the week ahead intro, I actually put it into the exit because I forgot. Other things on my mind, I apologize. But whenever it comes to the Facebook Lives later on, what we're going to start doing on April 1st is not going to be doing Facebook Lives, but it's actually going to be interactive Zoom. So many of you are so regular in my Facebook Lives that you're always coming in and joining, and I absolutely love that. But you're making friends with one another, and I know more people are wanting to have a little bit more of a camaraderie sense. So what I'm going to start doing on April 1st in the evening times is I'm going to start doing interactive Zooms where people can join in. Now, if you are not like on Facebook, but you want to be a part of this interactive Zoom, email me, and that way I can make sure I get you the link for the nights that we're going to be doing that. And that's going to start again on April 1st. We're going to try it out through the Mercury retrograde. If we like it, it'll be something that I incorporate, moving forward. If it's not going to be something that everybody likes to do all the time, that's fine too. It can just be our little support group to get through eclipse season and the Mercury retrograde. Yeah. Okay. You know that. Now, this eclipse is going to perfect at 2 a.m. Central Standard Time. So for some people, it is still going to be Sunday evening when the eclipse perfects. For other people, however, it is actually going to be on Monday. For us here in the States, it's more going to be on Monday. So be aware and, always adjust for your personal time zones as to when that is perfecting. But no matter what, all day on Sunday, we're in the eclipse energy because we're building up to it. But there's also some hidden energies that are a part of that eclipse that are going to play through that aren't as easily seen. On the start of Sunday, while the moon was wrapping up its trip through Virgo, the moon made an opposition to Neptune. Once the moon changed signs, however, and as it's perfecting into the eclipse throughout the day on Sunday, it's also going to go through an anticia to Neptune. In the days leading up to this eclipse, the sun went through a contra-anticia. Contra-anticias are secret alliances. They're finding out the sneaky shit. It's having something unexpected that's going on below the surface behind the scenes. A lot of times it's very internalized energy. However, when you have an energy that includes both an anticia and a contra-anticia simultaneously, that means whatever is being understood, believed, found that's going on behind the scenes, the downloads that we start to understand that's going on behind the scenes, is going to directly impact this opposition energy. And that's the anticia. Secret oppositions, tension, and frustration. All weekend going into this eclipse, the moon was in the sign of Mercury, or in the sign of Virgo. It was in Mercury's sign. I cannot talk today. Very distracted. I apologize. We'll blame Neptune. I like to blame Neptune for everything. All of the weekend, the moon was going through Virgo. And whatever was impacting Mercury was a very big element as to what was leading through the weekend. Some people were having to mentally prepare a bunch of information. Some people were expressing some of the things that had gone on, but it wasn't just expression because it's the tangible earth mercurial sign. There were facts, there were figures, There were proof. Don't know what I tried to say there. There were receipts. There were screenshots. There was something tangible to the information. Now, for some people, that's preparing for the big presentation on Monday. It's getting all your ducks in a row because you know you're leveling up to something on Monday. You're going into a new role or a new position because you have been working towards this eclipse energy for a while. And many of you know that you're going into a new role and that you're leveling up. But not everybody is in the level up energy. And some people are going to have something very, very unexpected, blindsiding. Even though there's been a buildup of tension in this certain area, there can be an immediate act or reaction that feels blindsiding. And for so many of us, it is a long time coming. And there are two parts of this energy that speaks to previous timelines. One, Jupiter at the 15 degrees of Taurus. I've been harping on this one for a while, guys. Jupiter at 15 degrees of Taurus. This is where Jupiter was for a month. The last 2 weeks of August, the first 2 weeks of September, whenever Venus was ending her retrograde, whenever whenever Jupiter was actually turning retrograde, 15 degrees. It also speaks back to some of the things that happened, the decisions that were made unexpectedly, the changes that were made unexpectedly to the previous Mercury retrograde that happened in April and May of last year. And that Mercury retrograde coincided with an out of sign Aries eclipse, again, disrupting things that we weren't quite ready for all of the changes. We needed to do an initial shakeup to start to shift some people into place, to shift some things into place. The problem is we made some very temporary decisions at that time, not knowing the full elements of what we needed to be prepared for because we had to scramble. It wasn't planned. That was the energy. So as we connected with very certain people last spring, and now we're coming to another layer of culmination. And there's one other thing that speaks to last September that I'm not going to ignore that actually ties into this eclipse. And that's the Aries full moon. The Aries full moon happened at 5 degrees. The Aries full moon that should have been an eclipse, but wasn't. It shouldn't have been just a full moon. And for many of us, what we were going through last fall was, again, we were trying to get things going. We were trying to get things motivated. We were trying to get things put into place. We were trying to make people aware of certain things. And the thing is, not everybody was ready. It wasn't the right time. Some of the things that were being expressed and told to certain people, they weren't prepared to work with yet. You weren't quite where you needed to be energetically. And so much of what starts to activate this last week, going into this eclipse, and a big portion of this next week, very much is about bringing some prior energies back into focus and now pushing for them to level up. Because again, what we were trying to do before, what we were forced to see before, the decisions that we were a part of before, something wasn't ready. We weren't in the right place. We weren't with the right people. We had too many things on our plate. We were still partnered up with somebody that we didn't need to be partnered up with. We were friends with certain people that we didn't need to be friends with. Something wasn't right. But as we go into the energy now, something that gets very much activated in this full moon eclipse, this lunar eclipse that is more closer to the south node than the north node, speaks to eliminating certain things. For some of us, the elimination is going to be the energetic barrier that has been keeping us from being able to excel. It will literally be a barrier that just falls away. Magically, the universe goes, ding, you're ready. Yeah. That's you. Congratulations. I'm super excited for you. For other people, it's not that at all. And it's going to be something physically happening between you and a loved one that is going to lead to eliminations. It's not a barrier that must fall away. It is the connection that you've known is hitting a wall for so long. But because we don't like change, and I'm going to make fun of you for it forever. Because we don't like change, we've been holding on to something that doesn't need to be held on to anymore because that person is not good for us. We're not good for them. Our vibe is not the same moving forward. But for whatever reason, we want to hold on to the toxic thing. And something's going to happen that goes cut out, cut off, released, outgrown. Some of us have a hard time accepting that we've outgrown our situation. We've outgrown our current environment. We're bigger now. We know more now. We're more capable now. We're smarter now. We've got a different thing leading us, giving us hope. But we like our ruts. And something's going to happen to force us out of the rut. For a lot of people, that is going to be their job. You've known that this is not going to be the good fit anymore. You know that this is not where you need to be. You know that you can't stand coming into work every day, but you're still doing it because you've made some type of commitment. It's not even an on paper commitment with all of you. Some of it is just the commitments in our head. No, this is my place. This is where I go. This is it. This is it. In my rut. You got to get out of your rut. It's a hard thing to recognize. It's a hard thing to accept. It's a hard thing to believe sometimes. But we got to get out of our ruts. A good portion of this eclipse is going to feel like a tipping of the scales. Something is meant to be released, purged, eliminated, outgrown, removed. Some people, it's going to be the energetic barrier. And that energetic barrier, once it's off of the scale, it's going to make everything go tick. Because we are going to tip the scales a little bit. The awareness of something is going to make the scales tip. And for a little while, there will be a bit of an imbalance. But that's only for a little while. What's going to happen after the eclipse perfects is going to be like the ants, the anthill situation. A multitude of things, a multitude of connection, a multitude of movement that needs to commence where we start to bring things in, shift our focus, change the dialogue, change the plan, change the strategy, change the conversation, change everything. And after each of these changes are absorbed, this tipping of the scales will start to level back out. And for the next month, the whole idea following this lunar eclipse is going to be how we bring things back into balance. We started a very hyperactive purge energy last summer. That purge energy was showing us where things needed to change, where we needed to have a difference. For some of us, it was just a craving of change. I need to grow the business. I need to make more money. I need to do this thing. But for whatever reason, it hasn't been clicking quite yet. Why isn't it clicking? Because the energy wasn't on your side yet. And if you were going through parts of last summer going, why isn't it clicking? You're more than likely the ones that are having the energetic barrier removed. And as we continue forward, it's going to click, 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 click. There'll be a lot of movement and a lot of clicking. This goes here and this goes here and this will go here. And that'll be a part of the re-strategizing. There is an element to this eclipse that feels like the final purge. The final purge to an energy that was speaking to purge for quite some time. And we purged some things. We eliminated some things. Sometimes we paid off a debt, we sold some things off, cut out a few people in our lives. Regretfully, sometimes we weren't cutting them out. Sometimes we lost some people. That loss was harder to admit than we want to. But it was still a part of the purging energy. You just didn't choose. The universe did. There is an element to this full moon that speaks to a final purge. A final purge. And for some people, it's going to require you to scramble and come up with a different solution and come up with something temporary in the moment. And I've kind of covered this already a little bit. If over the last 2 weeks of March, you suddenly lose your job, you might have to take a temporary job in a field that you don't usually work in because it'll work for the moment. And then once we get into some of the Libra transits later, we'll round back into where alignment is. And it will feel more peaceful. There is this energetic energy that very much, I know I said energetic energy. There's this energetic presence that speaks to we need to get out of a fog, get out of the funk, get out of these things that have been holding us back and overcome them in so many ways. And it really kind of comes through based off of how the energies culminating up to the eclipse, during the eclipse, and in these days after. I've already done the week ahead forecast. Some of us are going to have a very big event right around the eclipse that's going to literally take up a big portion of the week. It's not going to feel like we're doing a whole lot of progress at all because we're trying to wrap our head around something. We're trying to understand something. We're trying to learn something. We're trying to get all the information. We're trying to get all of our ducks in a row. This eclipse is going to happen in a place that's different for everybody. But it's not just about this eclipse. It's also about the condition of the ruler. Now, the funny thing is, Venus is said to be exalted in the sign of Pisces. She's empowered. The Pisces is still that deep levels of the ocean. And there have been so many things that have been deep within that have been brought to the surface, these deep levels of wounds, these deep levels of desire and healing that we must accomplish. And the only way to accomplish it is to cut out, cut off, eliminate the toxicity, eliminate the thing that we anchor ourselves to, eliminate the rut. And not everybody's going to like that because I don't like change. Get over it. It's necessary. It's time. We've been building up to these changes for so long. It's time. The energies that activate in this eclipse are going to take us through the next months of change. The next month. 5 weeks of change. In my opinion, it's going to be about 5 weeks. And what we're going to find is once we get into May, is that every day in May is going to feel like we're waking up to the new norm, to our new reality, to the new way of doing things. But in this moment, we are making some final space for where that new is going to be, for what that new is going to be for us. There's a purge element to this full moon, and it is speaking to eliminating so much. But that elimination is meant to bring healing and vibe and hope and health and abundance and strength. Be prepared. Okay. For those that are not used to my full moon and new moon videos, these are a little bit different than what most other people do. I like to include the tarot cards. So I will go over where this eclipse is for everybody, and we'll pull some cards as we go. I'm starting this, of course, with Aries and Aries rising. I read everything from a whole house system. So I do not care if your ascendant is at 2 degrees, or in this case, 29 degrees, because that's where it is on the screen. The entire zodiac sign that your ascendant is in is your first house. And every numerical house that follows will now be associated with the next zodiac sign. So my babies, Aries and Aries rising, this is going to be a full moon eclipse in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships and legal obligations. Venus is in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, endings, healing, hollow ground. You can be getting very blindsided in this eclipse. You can learn of some kind of betrayal in this eclipse. This betrayal can impact your money. Why do I say that? Because Venus is in a sextile to Jupiter all day while this eclipse is perfecting. And Venus rules this eclipse. Venus is in her exaltation. Now, some of you might have to do some unexpected travel based off of another person, off of another situation. Some of you might be learning something, or you just learned something during that Venus-Saturn conjunction that occurred last week that is going to require you to make some big changes for yourself. Why do I say that? Because the Mercury retrograde is going to be in your first house. The next eclipse is going to be in your first house. There's a lot of the changes that are going to come through next that directly depend on you and what you decide and what you need and how you want to move forward. Once this Venus ruled eclipse plays out. Now, it doesn't always have to be betrayal whenever it comes to Venus in the 12th house right now, but there can be something that comes through that makes you have to help someone else get through a situation. Your relationship might be fine, but you might find somebody staying on your couch because their relationship is not. Be aware that there is going to be a lot of burdensome type change that's going to impact you, whether it's having to impact your actual health, whether it is impacting the health of another, whether it is you that are going to have to make all the changes, which a lot of you are going to be making the changes in your routine based off of the Mercury retrograde. Some of you, you're going to be helping get somebody else through a moment of healing because Venus is in the 12th. But do expect to see something coming to a close, something coming to a culmination, something coming to a big level of healing. So let's look at your cards. We have the Seven of Swords and the Nine of Wands. The Seven of Swords is betrayal card. Somebody can be getting cheated on. Somebody could be getting lied to or lied about. With the Nine of Wands, there is this heavy burden of energy where we can feel something is coming to a close and coming to a culmination, but it hasn't all hit quite yet. The full amount of the information, the full amount of the burden has not come through. And many of you need to have levels of strength before you're able to make everything understood. Your strength can be impacting others. Your strength can be helping others in a way that is necessary, the Hierophant. Now, remember, Venus and Saturn just had a conjunction right before this eclipse perfected. Some of what might be changing right now might not necessarily be a surprise, and you might be having to step up and take some additional responsibility for somebody. Doesn't always have to be your relationship that's coming to a close. But understand that some of what is meant to come to a close can lead to very big new beginnings. We got the Ace of Cups and the 10 of Cups. There can be promise in the long term, even if the immediate is exhausting, even if the immediate is frustrating you. The more and more that we start to get these transits going through the 12th, the more hollow, the more depressed, the more overwhelmed you can feel. Please be aware of that. You've been going through 12th house transits for a while. The longer those perfect, the more it takes for you to get out of your funk. And for some of you, you're going to feel like some things are just inevitable, that they're going to always be this bad. Maybe it's always been this bad and I was just blind to it. That's not necessarily the case. Just be aware that some of what is culminating and affecting other people, some of the news that you're going to get from other people is going to force you to make a multitude of changes moving forward. Those changes are going to be beneficial to your health, your longevity, and with Jupiter in your second house of money, your finances, your assets. Be very, very serious about the things that are going on, especially when they come to your health, Aries risings. Okay. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Taurus and Taurus risings. So this is going to be a full moon in your sixth house of health. Venus is also your chart ruler. Some of you are going to be very, very aware of how your health is starting to impact others. Some of you are going to be feeling burdened by having to take on another person in the moment because their health is getting impacted. And there needs to be some level of service or servitude. There could be some tensions going on around pets. Maybe you're getting stuck with the roommate's dog. Maybe somebody's not taking care of your dog. I always go to dogs. Sixth house can very much be about pets, and we have to make some changes. Now, the thing about you guys is the fact that so much of this energy is going to also amount to a lot of things going on in your 12th house. I went too far, Taurus, sorry. A lot of things going on in your 12th house. Mercury is going to have a retrograde in your 12th house. The sun is now in your 12th house. You can start to feel more and more irritable, and you can find yourselves taking out more of your frustration out on other people when it's not necessary. Be aware of that. Not everybody is on the same page as you guys. Some of you are starting to feel like you need to walk away from certain situations, and this can have to do with work. This can have to do with your colleagues. This can have to do with your clients. There could be certain things that are starting to overwhelm you in so many different ways. And this eclipse energy leads you to making a very impactful change to better your personal well-being. to achieve more, to feel more independent. A lot of you are going to have to do some harsh cut-offs, and it doesn't all have to be in this exact eclipse. The thing about eclipse season is it's the entire timeline. So be aware of that. So we've got some conflict energy going on. We have the 10 of Swords, get this in focus, and the 7 of Wands. The 7 of Wands is a kind of a argumentative energy, but it's an argumentative energy because we feel right or righteous. There's a purpose. We're trying to convince certain people to see our opinion. But if we can't get everybody to see our opinion and we can't get everybody on board with where we're at, we can start to feel very, very overwhelmed with the 7 of Cups. The more we have to fight and the more overwhelmed we will start to feel, the more we're going to get to a point that we're going to end something. Something is going to come to a close. For some people, it will happen during the first eclipse. For other people, it's going to happen after the first eclipse and somewhere after Mercury goes retrograde. Might even be the day Mercury goes retrograde. Happy April Fools, everybody. But there's a lot of energy that speaks to overwhelm and tension and frustration. And the more you feel this energy, the more you can start to take that out on other people. Get your shit in line. Not everybody is your enemy. Not everybody deserves your frustration. Be aware of that. Okay. With the 9 of Wands, there is a luck element. And considering you have Jupiter in the first, some of that luck has to do with healing. Allowing yourself to heal. Allowing yourself to move forward. What happened last year, August, September timeframe? Uranus and Jupiter turned retrograde within a week of each other in your first house. And now we're starting to, one, go back over areas of the sky that included that time frame, but two, we're finally getting into new areas of the sky. Luck is on your side, but so is the idea of healing and achieving certain things. And many of you are getting closer and closer to some level of new success, of new independence, of new hopeful energy moving forward. In your other two cards, we have the 6 of Wands and this Ace of Coin. Many of you, the only way that you're going to feel that you can heal, feel like you can be successful, feel like you can move on, is by cutting ties. And I feel like for a lot of Taurus risings, this next month and a half, it's going to be a lot of cutting out and cutting people off. You might in the moment have to take care of something for someone, but in the long run, we're moving more towards things that speak to independence, that speaks to not enabling people the same way, to not relying on certain people the same way, for you to break out and break away. And for many of you, this does speak back to whatever events were going on last April, May, during the first out of sign eclipse. So really think back to what was going on April 19th, April 20th, April 21st, like those few days. That was a big energy. But also think back what was going on August and September, because the writing has been on the wall as to what you're about to do next. If those time frames were good and helpful and healing, fantastic, you're weird. That was an anomaly for you. However, if you were more in this energy of like, I need to take something forward, I need to make these changes, I had to make sudden changes and drastic changes, I started seeing people differently and trusting them differently, understand that you are about to take all of that and take it to a whole new level moving forward. Okay. Okay. Moving along. Now we're going to go to Gemini. Since I already put the screen on Gemini once, I apologize. My poor Taurus risings. But anyways, Gemini. For Gemini and Gemini risings, we are going to have a full moon in your 5th house of love and luck and joy and happiness and children and childlike behavior. Where is your chart ruler? In that 11th house of friends and network and colleagues. It is also in a house that can be associated with other people's children. Some of you are starting to feel your luck is shifting And you're going to be starting to make certain changes around your children and the children of another. So you can be doing that moment where you're introducing your kids to your partner's kids or your new friends' kids. Like we're starting to incorporate somebody new into our life. That doesn't have to be a heavy thing. A full moon in the 5th house can be a energy that directly impacts our children in the sense of like, do you have children? Are you about to have children? Are you feeling something going on with a child? Are your children actually making some kind of change? Is something taking you back to your childhood? This is a full moon that's going to be in Venus's sign, and Venus just had a conjunction to Saturn in your 10th house of career. Is some of your luck that's shifting? Does it impact your career? Are you starting to have something else come through that's going to help you in your job? Are you starting to feel something else come through that's going to allow you to finally excel in something? Some of you, it's not going to be the excelling at all, and that's regretful. The problem is you have Jupiter in your 12th house of the unknown, the unseen, and endings. And I have said this for a while. There are a lot of Gemini risings. You guys are not going to feel like things are finally going to be on your side and going right for you until we get to the final parts of May and going into June, whenever Jupiter, Venus, the Sun, and Mercury bring their asses into Gemini. Right now, it feels like every time we're working for something or working towards something or getting something lined out, it's like we're hitting a bit of a brick wall for some reason. It feels like every time we think we're getting something to come together, we can't always trust it. We can't always believe it. We can't always rely on it. It makes us second guess all of our decisions. It's infuriating. It's been frustrating. Luck is shifting. Luck is changing. And a lot of things moving forward can allow for new things to finally start to come together, especially when we go through that Mercury retrograde. You guys are going to feel it. You're going to be wanting a whole new level of change and accountability. You're going to be going into a whole different area that speaks to a whole different vibe for yourself. It doesn't have to be a bad energy. But I know a lot of Gemini risings, like you guys have been feeling the weight of Saturn in your 10th house of career, and it's making you question everything that you've done. The thing is like, you're finally going to have a shift in something that's going to allow for a lot more things to line out in a positive way. And that's really, really speaking through the cards. You guys have had the best cards so far. Okay. The first two that came out, these came out together. The Two of Cups and the Two of Coins. I said you guys have been questioning your decisions. The thing about the Two of Coins is like you're in a juggling act. Have I made the right decisions? Have I not made the right decisions? Can I ever do something better? Is this ever going to turn around? But the thing is, with this Two of Cups, something is going to start to come together. This is a very Venusian card. This is a very Venusian eclipse. Luck is shifting. Luck is changing. Page of Cups. New information and new beginnings. Pages also have to do with kids. So a lot of you, if you have children, I don't care their age. You can be in your 60s and your kids can be in their 40s. They're still your kids. You can also feel and see a lot of changes going around with children in this energy. With the Magician card, there's something very mercurial that is starting to come into balance, come into focus. You know, you gotta get the cards to come into focus. That we are trying to create and understand. There is this alchemy energy with the Magician. We are trying to manifest something, manifest a change in our luck, manifest a change in our career, manifest how we want to move forward from here. There's so much energy that speaks to allowing something new. These are your last two cards to come through, full card, and something that's going to be very helpful and healing to your heart, King of Cups. New opportunities, new benefits, new things coming through, new things coming together, new things coming into focus. What has been working for you for a while, what has been going on for a while, has not been the right fit. But the good news is Jupiter will now be in new areas of the sky. Jupiter will be doing a fast track for the next 2 months through the rest of Taurus and then coming into Gemini. It is a fast track. Literally, this is the last week of March. The last week of May is when Jupiter is going to come into Gemini. There's so much things that are going to shift and change and start to come together in so many exciting ways between now and the end of May that is shifting the focus. Now, for a lot of people, I keep saying like May feels like waking up to the new reality. And for you guys, that's going to be very helpful and healing and calming. But for others of you, you're going to feel like it's still not going to feel solid until we get into June. And just be prepared for that. You're going to be in foreign territory in a lot of ways, foreign areas, foreign placements, foreign jobs, new industries. You're going to be in different areas. Some of you are going to be traveling to some whole new area you've never been to. And I'm saying this in the sense of like the next 2 months. But your luck is shifting in this eclipse. And by God, y'all need it. I know you've been having a rough time. I know you've been having a rough time for a while. So let's shift our luck in the best way possible. Okay, moving this along. For Cancers and Cancer risings, this is a full moon eclipse in your fourth house of home life, family, roots, ancestry, genetics. Not everybody includes genetics in the fourth house, but I do because I've seen it make a lot of sense. There are going to be changes in the home life. Some level of final culmination, final purging, final hit that's going to impact the home life. Some of you are going to finally make the decision to move away from one place and move into another. And this is going to be your home now. This is going to be the new place now. This is where we're going to be doing things now. Some of you are going to have something actually happen within your family, with a mother, with a matron. Some of you are going to be taking on a new role in the family. This can be very, very unexpected for many of you. Some kind of news can culminate this week that makes you aware of some kind of new energy. But there's definitely going to be a shift around home life and family. This shift that is going to make you potentially shift and change and refocus and rethink career, because that's where the Mercury retrograde is. It's in the 10th house of career. How you want to succeed moving forward, how you are going to be seen moving forward is going to shift because of something that's going on in the home life, because of something that is going on with the family. For some of you, it's going to be luck. For the others of you, it is going to be a final hit, a final burden, and a final elimination, a final change. Something that is a long time coming, that is going to be very, very necessary before we can progress forward. Oop, dropped a card. We dropped one. Hold on. Okay. So, going into the cards. We've got some heavy cards in here, and I'm not going to lie about that. We have this 10 of Wands, and we have the Tower. Let's be real about that. For a lot of people, this full moon is going to be the final cleanse, the final purge, the final change that makes you rethink what you're doing in your career. It makes you rethink how you see your future. That makes you have to revise something tied to how you want to progress from here. Not everybody's going to like that. There's going to be some arguing to that with this 5 of Wands energy. However, not everybody's going to be in this Tower mode. Not everybody is going to be dealing with the 10 of Wands, and not everybody is going to have to argue about the exact same things, because there's a multitude of ways a Cancer rising's energy can be playing out right now. It kind of depends on your age and your perfection year. For some of you, again, there is going to be something that is a long time coming that is going to give you a relief. It's going to give you a release. You're no longer going to have to fear for something quite the same way. 7 of Coins, 9 of Cups. Maybe you have a change that's starting to come through in the career that is finally giving you peace, that the home life is going to be okay moving forward. Oh, and maybe I don't have to sell the house. Maybe I don't have to do this. I finally got that promotion. I finally got this change. I'm finally getting this thing. It's finally making me aware that everything is going to be okay. Again, with the 7 of Coins energy, there's a lot of things that are starting to roll out that are a very long time coming. the last three cards also speak to a lot of new things coming through. With the Magician energy, this also speaks to like a lot of the energy that is coming through right now is also going to be tied to the Mercury retrograde, because this Magician card is a mercurial card. We're going to be making some major revisions in regards to career, in regards to our focus moving forward. And this is either going to give the level of relief in the home life, and it's going to allow for new things to finally commence in the home life later on, or it's going to make you very, very aware that your home life is going to be very, very different moving forward. Page of Coins, Magician, and Strength card. Not everybody is going to be having the worst eclipse. Not everybody's going to have something negatively impacting their parents or their family or their home life. For some of you, it's going to just finally allow for some level of like peace in the heart, peace in the mind, peace in how you can continue forward. We get some kind of relief. But considering Venus, the ruler of this eclipse, is in your 9th house, some of you might be having to travel based off of what happens with the family. You get called away. And as soon as you get called away, it makes you realize, I need to go back home. For some of you, it is going to be the family coming from a long way, traveling to you. Let me see that baby. I want my first grandbaby. Gimme, 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 gimme. And again, it's going to be some kind of change that impacts the family. Doesn't all have to be heavy. Roles and responsibilities change. Moms become grandma. Maidens become mothers. Be aware of that. For many of you, it's going to be a positive change in the home life, but it's also going to impact your image. If you've never been a parent before, you might be becoming a parent soon. If you've never been a grandparent before, you might be becoming a grandparent. But some of you, it has nothing to do with parents. It has nothing to do with family. You're not trying to have a kid. Instead, you're trying to make your career excel, and you realize the only way you're going to be able to excel in your job is to not be stuck in that same small town anymore. And we're going to have to make changes tied to the home life, time to the family, moving. Some of you, you're not going to just be moving to the next town over. You're going to be moving to a whole new state, a whole new country. And that's going to be a big impact in this to how you see the world and how you see your future. Okay. Moving along. We're going to get to Leos and Leo risings. Now, guys, this is a full moon in your 3rd house of communication, short distance travel. Some of you are going to be making some major changes in regards to who you trust and who you communicate with moving forward. Simple as that. Some of you, in a more mundane sense, you're going to be making changes in regards to your commute or your travel. There's going to be something that changes in regards to your daily routine and your work, because Venus had just made a conjunction to Saturn, and Saturn rules your 6th house. Some of you had just recently had to communicate something that requires changes, that requires an adjustment, that is going to speak to how you are going to succeed in your career moving forward. Some of you are having to really focus and get down to the nitty-gritty of some level of your job and how you want to succeed, and some level of communication. Others of you, you're just going to trade in your car. Simple as that. It's time to get a new ride. I'll admit, the last time that the eclipses were going through my 3rd and 9th house, all I ever wanted to do was get in the Jeep, and all I wanted to do was go off-roading. All I wanted to do was change stuff on my Jeep. I didn't want to do anything else. Just give me that time. I wanted to run away from everything. I wanted to be on the trails 24/7. Didn't have to be heavy. Doesn't have to be heavy for you now. But a lot of you are going to be making some big choices. Some of you are going to be leaving some people behind. Some of you have recently left somebody behind. And now you're trying to wrap your head around how you move forward from here, who you connect with from here, who you trust from here. The other thing about Venus going through that 8th house is that the 8th house is a house of secrets. And over the weeks leading up to this eclipse, while Venus has been going through the 8th, You could have discovered some secrets, some lies, some fallacy. And now that Mars is in that 8th house, many of you are going to be making actions or reacting to the recent uncoverings. And that's going to be a big part of the energy and how you handle some things once we get into the Mercury retrograde. Not everybody is being honest all the time, and we know it. And you being aware of that communication, 3rd house eclipse, is important because it allows for you to understand how you can progress from here. But a lot of the decisions are very much based around you. We have the Empress card, we have this Ace of Wands, and we have the 3 of Cups. That new information that is leading to a new path, that is leading to a new way of pursuing things. This 3 of Cups, there's always a lot of camaraderie with the 3 of Cups, the people that you're surrounding yourself with. Again, you are eliminating some of the people that you used to rely on. Mars was in your 7th house for a while. Pluto is going to be in your 7th house for 20 years, guys. You're going into an energy of understanding who you trust moving forward. For some people, the younger people, Pluto in the 7th, that's going to be a lot harder of an energy because it's going to impact your relationships. For some people, it's going to impact it negatively. However, for many of us that we're a lot more aged and we've got more experience under our belt, it's going to be more of a positive impact. The thing about Pluto in your 7th house of relationships is that he is telling you that the type of people that you need to attract need to be the right people. They need to be your tribe. They need to be those Plutonian people that trigger change in you, as well as people that you can help with their situations moving forward. Not everybody's ready to make all of those decisions. But please understand, a lot of the people that you have trusted in the past, that you have choose to trust in the past, you're no longer going to be trusting. 2 of Coins, 7 of Swords. Sorry, that 2 looked really weird in the screen. The 7 of Swords is a betrayal card. The 2 of Coins is juggling something to make a choice. The 8 of Cups is making the choice to walk away from certain people, walk away from certain opportunities, walk away from certain situations. With that Empress energy starting everything, this tells me that being set in our ways in this moment is not always going to be the best idea for you. Many of you are going to have to move with the new information that has been presented, whether it is the information that you have uncovered or it has been the information that has been provided by somebody else, but you are having to move forward based off of new information. And the way you move forward from here directly impacts just how successful you are going to be moving forward, where your intentions are set, where you're meant to thrive. Be very, very aware of how people are moving around you. Both the rulers of this eclipse axis are in your 8th house. For some of you, whatever happens over this next month and a half, it is all financial. It's all financial. It's trying to get those things put in order. If in the mundane sense, we're getting a new car, that's getting a new loan and having to figure out the payment plan. That's easy stuff. But for other people, it's not that. It's having to do with payouts. It's having to do with installments. It's having to do with inheritance. It's having to do with taxes. It's having to do with so much financial. And to really get everything lined out means making sure we have all the information correct. Do you have all the information correct? Do you have the facts, the figures, the receipts? Do you have the proof? Whether it has to do with secrets, lies, affairs, or it has to do with the money. Do you have the proof? Making sure we have all of our ducks in a row is so important right now. This energy is a lot bigger for you guys than just the moment of the eclipse. Okay. Okay. For Virgos and Virgo risings, this is an eclipse in your 2nd house of money, your assets, your shit, your belongings, how you spend your money, how you make your money. A lot of this has to do with money. Both the rulers of the eclipses are in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships and legal obligations. Much of what happens over the next 4.5, 5 weeks is going to be directly around other people. Other people are going to impact the way that you spend money. Other people are going to impact the way that you are making money. Other people are going to impact whether you can travel or not. That can be a good thing. Maybe it has to do with like relying on a whole new set of clients, but making sure, again, that we're getting paid. However, some of you are going to be having to deal with some very legal situations. The thing about this for Virgo risings is that Saturn has been in your 12th house. I'm sorry, your 7th house. I was looking at the 12 degrees of Saturn. That's why I said 12. Saturn has been in your 7th house of legal obligations for over a year now. A lot of what's culminating, especially for Virgo risings, is literally directly impacting from when Saturn entered Pisces. And we've been going through all this back and forth energy of trying to get something lined out. But the ruler of this 7th house, the traditional ruler, Jupiter, is in that 9th house. For some of you, you're going to be having to travel to help another. You're going to be dealing with institutions. Considering this is a legal house, there can be a lot of things tied to institutions. Some of y'all are going to be going through divorces. You're going to be having to call attorneys. You're going to be having to make some very hard changes and harsh situations get dealt with moving forward. And it's going to be because you're having to either deal with the accountability that's being held against you by another person, or it's because you're going to have to hold somebody else accountable for their actions. Saturn in the 7th is a level up energy. It can be helpful. It can also be very, very hurtful. And if it's the hurtful energy, again, guys, this can be something that is a very long time coming. 4 of Swords, something you've been preparing for, whether you realize it or not. Mental energy, the cleansing, the purging, the emotional release. Physical release, physical purging, physical changes. This 3 of Coins is very much a work card. There's a lot of finances whenever it comes to the coin energy. Some of you have been preparing for financial changes, financial windfalls. Some of you are preparing for how you're going to be able to pay your bills moving forward because something is very much coming full circle. There's been changes going on with the people around you. 3 of Wands, all of these transits are in your 7th house. And whether you're coming or going with the 3 of Wands, you know whatever happens next, you're waiting on the results, the decision, the outcome, the situation to play out with someone else, with another person in the courtroom, with the lawyer, in the mediation, whatever we're doing. It's not even something that you have immediate control on. Now, the thing about with some Virgo risings is that since Mercury has gone into Aries, your 8th house, some of you have been discovering some secrets. Something that you've known for a while, High Priestess card. That is, again, resulting in some very drastic changes because either you are starting to hold somebody else accountable or they are holding you accountable. Some of you, your secrets were released. Your secrets were uncovered. Some of you, you've uncovered somebody else's secrets. You knew it was coming. You knew it couldn't be a secret forever. You knew something was going wrong. You knew something was going on, but you just couldn't put your finger on it. But now that you're in this process of learning and knowing, there can be something that's beneficial for you. There can be something that is very, very helpful for you. There is something that can be very healing and finally allow you to get out of your funk that you've been in for quite some time. It's just going to be requiring some very, very hard decisions. Whether those decisions are yours or somebody else's, decisions are necessary. If you're able to be the one that makes the decisions, make the ones that are best for you and your unit. Sometimes you're the parent and you have to think for your kids too. Do what's best for you and your unit. If you're not in that situation, then some of you might be waiting on the decision of another person. So much of the financial reflection of what's about to go down is very, very much centered on other people, bosses, lawyers, whatever it is. It's not in your ball court. And that's going to stress you out. You don't have control. You're waiting on everyone else. Doesn't mean it's going to be bad. It's just the waiting game. That's going to be annoying. That can really play into your mental frustration as we go through this week. Okay. Okay. For Libras and Libra risings. Oh, my loves. Oh, my goodness. This is your eclipse. This is your eclipse. Your first house is you. And you are so sick and tired of everybody else and the way they've been acting and the way that they've been treating you and the way they've been doing things. And you are about to hold a lot of people accountable. I just know it. I just know it. Now, right before this eclipse perfected, Venus made a conjunction to Saturn earlier in the week. Some of you had a conversation with an authority figure. Doesn't have to be your authority figure. It can be an authority figure with, somebody that you can see as an authority figure in their realm. And whatever has happened since then has made you very, very aware that you need to rethink certain negotiations, certain aspects, certain situations tied to other people. For some of you, this is going to have to do with your actual relationship. For others, it is actually going to have to do with like people that are your coworkers. And this is going to take me back to what happened last spring and last summer. That Venus retrograde was in your 11th house of friends and network and colleagues. Certain things that started to impact you then are now going to start to come full circle, and you're going to question who you trust, who you believe, who you're working with, who you're committed to. You're going to question because so many things have recently come to light. You know what those things are. You know that where the changes are happening. And you know that some of these things are starting to impact your work, are impacting your work, or they're impacting your health. The thing about the South Node going through your first house is a lot of this energy is directly impacting your body. You're feeling it. You're feeling something is wrong as soon as it starts to happen. Before it starts to happen, you're noticing all those little idiosyncrasies far faster than you have in the past. And it's going to make you more and more aware of some changes that are going to be impacting the way you see other people. You can make one major change very, very soon, knowing that after you make whatever decision you make, it's going to leave other people scrambling. That's their karma. They didn't treat you well. They didn't treat you right. However, not everybody is going to be able to just walk away from something completely unscathed, and many of you are going to have some conflict. I need you to be prepared for that. You doing what's best for you can be looked at by somebody else as you being selfish, you being an asshole. You are betraying me. 3 of Swords, 5 of Swords. A lot of conflict, a lot of arguments, a lot of frustration. Get in focus. There it goes. There are going to be a lot of this energy that speaks to betrayal, tensions, arguments, and a very fast, immediate change that you are not expecting, or they're not expecting to come from you, can lead them again to scrambling. It really kind of comes down to the choices that you make. 2 of coin. These choices are going to be based off of what has recently come to light, the Sun card. Whatever decisions that you guys are starting to make, whether it is something that directly impacts friendship groups, whether it impacts your surroundings in regards to career, maybe this actually has to do with you having to make some kind of change because you have to take additional responsibility for a loved one, as Venus did make a conjunction to Saturn. Understand that these decisions and the work that you need to do, that you are going to announce to everyone, are going to be something that speaks to how your heart will be content moving forward. I think over the next few weeks, Libra risings, the ones that never want to tip the scales. You guys never want to make anyone else feel like you're creating more issues for them. You never want to put pressure on them. All of a sudden, you guys are going to be so sick of the way people have been treating you, and you're going to be like, kick, fuck you. Maybe the only ones that are going to say fuck you are going to be the ones with their Venus in like Aries or Scorpio, but still. There's a lot of this energy that speaks to telling other people off. You guys are either going to be forced into a situation that, again, is going to leave other people scrambling because you're going to make the hard decision, or somebody else is going to make it for you. But they're not making well-informed decisions. Whatever decisions they're making can be very much based off of a lie. But that doesn't mean you won't benefit from it. In fact, in many ways, it's going to help you in the long run. So if in the exact timeline of the next few weeks, something starts to feel like it's falling apart around you, it's necessary. Don't try to save it. Get out of the way. Let their shit fall on them. You are not meant to save everybody. You only need to focus on yourself in this moment. Because whatever happens after this and in the lunar month ahead is going to be something that's going to really incorporate very big changes as to how you want to be seen and understood by other people moving forward. You have been in the process of changing since July. And not everybody has fully seen just what that is. Not everybody's meant to see it. Some of what gets eliminated next are the ones that aren't meant to see just how well you're going to do later. Kick them out. Kick them off. Get rid of them. Bye. Bye. All right. Moving along. For Scorpios and Scorpio risings, this is us. Hi. I'm with you. We're the problem. We have problems. Sort of. Oh, this is a very blindsiding eclipse. And there's so many reasons why I keep saying, think back to what was going on before, because we've known about so many things for so long. It's unreal. We were the ones that had the South Node going through our first house for a year and a half. We were the ones that had to deal with the eclipse axis while going through the Saturn Uranus squares, affecting the way we see our home life and the way affecting seeing how the effects are hitting other people. Like, we've had so many levels of awakening. It's unreal. Many of you are going to be blindsided by a lot of things that need to be healed, connections that need to be healed, things that can be very, very shaking in the moment. Because this is going to be a 12th house eclipse, the unknown, the unseen, endings, karma, hollow ground. This can be a very, very healing full moon, but this can be a very, very blindsiding full moon. And it really kind of comes down to how well you've been dealing with the Pisces transits. Some of you have been doing great and you're feeling wonderful and you're feeling like everything is falling into place for you. But others, you have not done well with Saturn in the 5th, and you have felt like everything is working against you. Moving forward, though, we have a whole new way that can start to come to light in a very positive way. We can have a whole new level of things that start to heal moving forward from here. And some of you are going to find, as we go through the next 5 weeks after this eclipse, that we are either going to finally have certain amounts of like connections that we've been seeing manifest. We've been seeing these certain things coming together between us and another person, or we're going to see the elimination coming through over these next 5 weeks. Just know, whatever is changing over the course of the next 5 weeks, we're going to be starting to waking up to a new reality, to our new norm once we get into May. And for so many of the Scorpio risings, this can be something that is so beneficial. Mars, one of the chart rulers, is in now the 5th house of love, luck, romance, joy, happiness, and children. Venus is in that 5th house of love, luck, romance, joy, happiness, and children. Saturn, karma, responsibilities, all that it is in that 5th house. Luck is shifting. For some of us, that luck is going to be how we excel moving forward. For some of us, that luck is going to be how we take control of our health and how we take control of our money, how we control certain relationships, how we can manage things moving forward. And for many of us, that full moon eclipse is going to be the energetic barrier I was talking about in the beginning. A barrier is going to fall away. It's time for the next round of energy. But for others, it's going to be blindsiding, and you need to be prepared for both. For some people, there's going to be truth, and there's going to be some type of energy that speaks to the new path. For some people, it's going to be passion. For other people, it's going to have to do with a truth coming to light that is going to lead to levels of independence later on. But there is definitely some new information that is feeding how we continue from here. And again, some people are going to have to express how we overcome a burden. That's the 9 of Wands, if it ever comes into focus. And when you put the 9 of Wands and the Ace of Wands together, you create the 10 of Wands. Please understand, so much of this energy speaks to how we get past former burdens, old wounds, and old energies, because we're progressing into something very, very new. I've been saying this to us for a very, very long time, guys. That Mars rebirth in our first house, I said, once we get into this upcoming eclipse season, we're really going to see how things fall into place for us. Fall into place in regards to our health, fall into place in regards to how we're going to succeed moving forward. So many of us are leveling up in our businesses, or we're starting a new business. I've talked to so many of you that you're in the process of starting, but intuitively, you've known where you're going for a while. And the thing is, yeah, we got both the Lovers cards, by the way. The things that are coming together have the ability to really speak to financial gains once we get into parts of the summer. Financial independence, new changes in regards to the money. Our luck is shifting. And with that Saturnian energy that's going on between Venus and Mars, it's time for our luck to shift, for our happiness to shift, for our love life to shift. And for some people, this is going to speak to relationships. And when Jupiter and Uranus hit their conjunction, once we get into the later part of April, you are going to go into these levels of burden and releasing yourself from burden and pursuing things based off of the truth that gets revealed. You're not going to be in a relationship anymore. But for others, and you intuitively with that High Priestess card, you know where you're at. It has nothing to do with that. It just has to do with waiting for the energetic barrier to be released. So all of these great things can come together for the new to come through. We're in this amazing energy that can allow for impressive new things to build, or release, purge, overcome, outgrow, and healing. It can go either way. Okay. Okay. Moving us along, we're going to get to Sagittarius and Sagittarius risings. Babies, this is a full moon in your 11th house of friends and network and colleagues. Now, your chart ruler has been in your 6th house of health for quite some time. And a lot of where we're going at over the next 2 months from here is going to feel like we're finally getting a lot of things put into place in regards to our health, in regards to our jobs, in regards to our routine. It's going to feel like we're going to hit this like surge of energy to finally make something happen. And you're going to feel this dynamic in how you associate with certain people based off of that. Now, in the moment, in the most mundane sense, you can do something with a friend for the last time. You can have somebody that's about to move away, is about to make a change. So you might be eliminating a friend from your circle, eliminating somebody you've spent some time with before, eliminating certain people from your circle because they're keeping you from being able to do certain things. But for a lot more, you are starting to feel a change in who you trust and how you wish to build from here, how you wish to move forward from here, how you wish to grow from here. Now, the rulers of the eclipse axis are in your fourth house of home life, family, roots, ancestry. And wherever you were at as we went into this eclipse has directly now impacted your home life. Something that's going on with another person is going to impact your home life. Maybe we're letting somebody move in. Maybe we're having to deal with something extra with the family. Maybe somebody's coming to stay. Maybe some of us are going to be telling our family moving forward, we're not going to be staying with them much longer. We got to make a change. Changes are necessary. Changes are coming. In so many ways, changes are coming. Okay. A lot of this is actually in really good cards for you guys. So we have the Emperor. The Emperor energy is like very stuck in his ways. Given that Saturn is in that fourth house of home life, and family, we can be very stuck in certain ways and certain traditions and how we're doing things. However, given that after this eclipse is perfected, Jupiter, your chart ruler, is going to finally hit new areas of the sky, all of these other energies speak to the new things. So you can have some people in your surroundings, in your home life, that are stuck in their ways, stuck in their mindset. And that can be very, very draining in some ways because you want to pursue something that speaks to your heart. And it's like every time you say something to them, they're like, you're not prepared for that. You don't know what you're doing. You shouldn't be spending all that money. You shouldn't be doing those types of things. What do you think you're doing? Why do you think you want to do that? And I need you to understand they're projecting their own insecurity onto you when they act that way. They want to know why you think you could do it because they never thought that they could. Be aware of that. Everything else in your cards, though, speaks to the new information and the new beginning. So we have the Ace of Wands, a new path, a new journey, Ace of Cups, new happiness, new love, new connections. Nine of Coins. The Nine of Coins is a boss bitch card. I love this card. It's one of my favorite cards in the deck. In the tarot, this is one woman going through a garden that she has planted all of the seeds herself. She is benefiting from all of the hard work for herself, not for her and a man, not for her and anyone else, but for her. And understand that if you have people questioning why you think you can do something, why you think you should be able to make this change, why you are going to be doing this, please understand it's because it's your time and you can energetically feel ready for that. Now, on the flip side, we're going to have that Mercury retrograde going through your fifth house. Now, for some people, that is going to be a whole shift and change in regards to luck. And that's going to be something that can be beneficial. It's just going to take some work. It's going to take some back and forth. However, for some of you, I need you to be aware that some of whatever comes up over these next few weeks following this eclipse can also impact the kids, your children. And there can be some things that make you rethink who you are allowing your kids to be friends with, who you are allowing around your children. Be aware of that, because something can come up following this eclipse that makes you really start to make some physical adjustments tied to the kids. And that can also impact the home life. And I say this in the sense of like, some of y'all are in split family situations. For example, sometimes kids are over here half time and here half time, but all of a sudden, nope. Half time is becoming full time, or vice versa. Half time is becoming no time. We're all in different places. Be aware that some of the decisions that we are recently have made that are impacting the kids might not stick, or they might lead to drastic changes very, very quickly that you might not be prepared for. But be aware of how this eclipse axis is going to start to impact the relationships around your children for those of you that have them. And if you're auntie like me, then, auntie uncles, then you could be dealing with, kids in the family, not necessarily your kids, because I've seen that happen too. Okay. For Capricorns and Capricorn risings, this is an eclipse in your 10th house of career and public image, and your hopes and dreams for the future, your goals. For y'all, this is a level up eclipse. 100%. This is a level up eclipse. Many of you are going to be feeling certain roles change around you. Some of you are going into your new career. Some of you are becoming parents or grandparents. Some of you are starting to make huge changes in regards to how you see the future. And it's stuff that you've been working on for quite some time. Very few of you, is this going to be a surprise? Just to be absolutely clear. Now, the Mercury retrograde, of course, is going to be in your 4th house of home, life, and family. Some of the way that you see the future is going to make you immediately make some decisions to change some things around your family. Some of that's going to be good. Some of that's going to be very, very draining, because you're going to have to eliminate who we are sharing our space with. Be aware of that. So much of this energy is also speaking to how we heal some things around family. And you might be learning some things that you've been hoping for and wishing for and waiting for, that are going to directly impact your family situations. As much as I love this eclipse and the level up energy, the rest of the transit speaks to a deeper ingrained change, a shift in communication, a shift around children, a shift around our home life, a shift around mothers and matrons. There's a very big shift in the family that's going to impact the future. For some of you, the career change and the leveling up in career and that goal is going to lead to what impacts the family, impacts the home life. Some of you can be getting a job offer that's going to make you relocate, and you might not even realize the relocation is in the immediate future. It hasn't presented itself to you yet. For some of you, it's going to require some additional travel. Be aware that a lot of this energy is very much shaping your new power dynamic of how you are in control of your money and your finances moving forward. We're trying to overcome past fears and awaken to new opportunities. So understand that a lot of this energy speaks to how we progress from here. Now, let's talk about some of these negative cards, because there's more negative cards than positive cards, even though this is actually meant to be a positive eclipse. It's very interesting to me. So let's talk about some of these negative cards. I'll put them all together. We have the 7 of Swords, the 4 of Swords, the 8 of Swords, and the Tower card. Even though you're leveling up in regards to career, in regards to your public image, in regards to however you're leveling up, you're also seeing the negative impact of how some of the things that are changing within your family are impacting everyone else in the family. If you are moving to another town or your kids are moving out, you might be seeing the negative impact for the child that gets left behind. If you are starting to reconnect to certain people, or you're starting to get calls from your children and all of a sudden they're coming into the house, you can be having other people stay with you, and it can be something that you are not anticipating with this Tower card. As much as the Tower card can be very, very shaky, this doesn't feel shaky, but it feels like a revision that's about to hit. A revision that gives you a boost in confidence, that gives you peace. And considering the next 3 cards that came out, I do like the energy, even with the conflicts of that 4 of Swords needing to be prepared, the 7 of Swords, like these levels of betrayal, but I feel like it's past betrayal. And you're going to learn about past betrayal, past things in the Mercury retrograde. And the 8 of Swords is going to make it very, very difficult for you to walk away from wherever you want to address certain things, but be prepared that you're going to be forced to walk away, because the peace is going to be more necessary and more beneficial for you. these next three cards. We have the Star card, Eight of Coins, and the Queen of Cups. The Star card follows the Tower card in the tarot deck. It does. Things must fall apart, hit the ground. Things must crumble for the new to come through. Society must crumble for the next round to come through. Something has to fall apart to rebuild. I feel like for a lot of you, you've been prepared for the full effects of this Tower because you've been waiting for something to rebuild. And I'm more feeling the Star card than the Tower card. And with the Eight of Coins, you're very much prepared for the work that's necessary to succeed and for the things that are going to speak to your heart's content. For some of you, this is going to have to deal with your leveling up in your job. You're going to a new place that's going to impact your family. For others of you, you're going to feel these changes in the roles and responsibility. Suddenly, we're going to have to step up and do more as a grandparent. You're going to learn you're becoming a grandparent. And it's going to be unexpected. And the thing is all of a sudden, there's going to be this major revision of how we're dealing with things around the house because we got to make space for a nursery. That's what I mean by we're having to make some revisions. Some of you are going to be reuniting with certain people that you've been estranged from. And those people, once they come back in and they start telling you everything that's been going on, it's going to make it very, very hard to leave well enough alone. But you're going to need to leave well enough alone. You're going to have to hear the bad stories, hear the bad situation, and know that you are providing a safe place for people to return to. Everybody's in different energies. Everybody's in different situations. But be aware that whenever it comes to how you want to succeed moving forward, there's going to need to be very big changes that impact the home life, that impact the family over the weeks ahead. Okay. Okay. For Aquarius and Aquarius risings. This is a full moon in your 9th house. Education, institutions, how you connect to source or God or creator, whatever you call him. This can be a very spiritual and religious full moon for some of you. However, for others, it's going to have to do with institutions. And I've said multiple times, there's a lot of what's about to be going on that directly falls back to the stuff that was going on last spring and last summer. The changes in your family. That Venus retrograde was in your 7th house of relationships and partnerships and legal obligations. We can have some very big legal things that are coming back full circle that are now going to result in energy going into the courtroom. There can be things that were going on with a partner last summer that are now resulting in us having to do some additional levels of travel that we weren't anticipating, that we weren't budgeting for. It's going to cost us some money and we just weren't quite prepared for. You're going to hear some hard truths in the near future that you're not necessarily going to like. Be prepared for that. But for a lot of other people, we're going to feel a lot of hope and change that's going to come through. And a lot of it is going to really impact the way that you are communicating, the way that you are carrying yourself, the way that you are letting people know about what's going on in the world around you, and the way that your family and your home life is going to be moving forward. So much of these next 5 weeks directly impact your family and your home life. And not all of you are quite prepared for that, but it's the truth. Because again, the energies that are unfolding in this eclipse axis, they're a very, very, very long time coming. So let's talk about these harsher cards. The first two that came out, the Nine of Wands and the Queen of Swords. While all of those transits were going through Aquarius, many Aquarius risings had to make some very, very hard decisions because we felt the burden of too much and we needed to express and pursue certain truths. We've needed to push some people away and eliminate some things so we can overcome some past situations and again, progress forward with certain truths. In some ways, we were very prepared for that. In other ways, we weren't. And we've had to make some big changes with who we surround ourselves with to be able to make these pursuant changes. Now, those changes have led to this moment. And now we're going to have a whole different level of reality starting to set in. And what we are going to start to see is what starts to come together and where we start to find joy and happiness. Now, for some people, it's not going to be the immediate energy of what's coming together is not going to lead to joy and happiness. I think that's the stuff that starts to come through in May when we hit our new normal. In the immediate, we're going to have to deal with the disruptions of the hard truth and the hard realities of what has gone on. We're going to deal with the impact of recent decisions and how they're impacting other people with this Three of Wands. Your decisions are impacting so many people around you. That can have to do with your friends, that can have to do with your colleagues, that can have to do with your family. So much of the recent decisions are directly impacting the way that you progress from here. And I dropped the card. Of course I did. Okay. But I like these two together. The Nine of Coins is this energy of where we've been building so much on our own and doing so much on our own for so long, and we've been benefiting, but now we're going to reach a whole different level of benefit. And when you put the Ace and Nine of Coins together, of course, you get the 10 of Coins. You get that perfect 10. The things that are starting to come together for you, around you, that are benefiting you in so many ways, in the long run, are going to benefit your entire home life, your entire family. The relationships you allow in are going to benefit the entire family. The legal obligations that you overcome are going to benefit the entire family. Whatever we're starting to work through right now, it is a long time coming. And some of you have been very, very confused as to whether you've made the right decisions or the wrong decisions, because you're letting your head get in the way. The thing about Aquarius risings is y'all get stuck in your head way too fast. And you need to go touch some frickin' dirt. You need to go get grounded. You need to go get active. You need to do something. And for some of you, the getting out of the funk is going to require a different level of reach and institution. It's going to be like, I need to go to the doctor's office. But it's not just like the medical doctor. For some of you, it's going to be the head doctor. It's the psychiatrist. It's the therapist. It's that person that is trying to tell you where you go from here. And for some of you, it's not just going to be about you. It's going to be for your entire family. Everybody needs to be able to focus on something and deal with something to be better moving forward. Whatever you're trying to deal with, whatever you're trying to overcome, whatever is going on is not just you guys. And the thing is, you get so stuck in your damn head, you don't realize that. You don't realize that so much of what needs to be overcome or healed or worked through or talked about is not just for you to talk about. It's for the other people too. A lot of this energy is a very long time coming. Now, the rulers of this eclipse axis are in your second house of money. And for some people, it's going to have nothing to do with the doctors or, your family or anything like that. It's actually going to have to all do with travel. And what you need to do in the moment is just go on a family vacation. And that's a super mundane way to deal with the next few weeks. But not everybody can go on a month-long vacation. It's not usually in the cards. We don't usually have the money for that. But be aware, so much of this energy is not just about you. You think it's all about you. You think that you're the only ones being impacted. You think that your decisions are not necessarily impacting everyone else, but they are. And you need to have these hard conversations with the other people involved in your decision making. Be aware of that. Okay. Okay. Moving this along. We're going to get to Pisces and Pisces risings. Oh, my loves. Okay. Some of y'all are making some very interesting financial decisions. You're having to spend some additional money to get the house prepared to sell. We are trying to negotiate something that's going to improve our livelihood and give us some level of financial independence. Some of you, it's about financial independence. Mars rules your second house of money. Venus rules your eighth house of other people's money, shared assets, shared resources. And Venus and Mars are in your first house. Now, be clear, while Mars is going through your first house for the next 6 weeks, you are more clumsy, you are more susceptible to being injured, you are going to have all these unexpected bruises that are just going to magically come through and be like, where the hell did that come from? Mars, you're not going to realize it. You're not going to realize you bumped into something, but all of a sudden you got a massive bruise on your leg, on your arm, on your body, and it's going to look like somebody hit you super hard, and you don't remember it. Mars. Mars in your first makes you very, very clumsy. Have fun with that. With Saturn in your first, it makes you a lot more clumsy and it can impact the bones. Be careful. And I'll say that again whenever we get to the Mars-Saturn conjunction that's going to happen during the April 8th eclipse. I will bring that up again because y'all need to be careful. Physically, you need to be careful. Now, a lot of you are starting to have to deal with something tied to siblings, something tied to legal matters. Some of you are having to take on whole new levels of responsibility. Some of you are having to deal with some things that need to come to a close out, that need to get paid off. There's a lot of energy that speaks to changes. But for many of you, you're having to spend some additional money, pay off some things, or deal with things unexpectedly. I'm not quite done with your cards, but I'm looking at this energy and I see how this can play out for so many of you. For some of you, you're going to be having to spend some money to, again, get the house prepared. But others, you could be more along the lines of like, you're already in the process of selling the house and you're trying to get the offer situation handled. And once you get the offer situation handled, then it's going to turn into who's paying for what repairs are where, this type of thing, this type of energy. There can be some things that directly impact that. Others are going to be having to deal with some financial changes regarding travel, regarding something with a sibling, having to borrow money from a sibling, having to pay a sibling off, like we're having to do some things. Some of us are going to be having to take some additional responsibility that we don't necessarily want to deal with. And in many ways, the more you start to hold other people accountable, they're not going to be used to that energy for you, by the way. The more you start to hold other people accountable, the more that you will become the disruptive one in the room, because Venus and Mars are both in your first. Venus in your first, you gain a lot of attention. And that can be a good thing. But with Mars in the first, you're a lot more determined to make something happen. And I feel like a lot of whatever is about to come through is based off of your decisions. Whether that's you having to travel somewhere around the eclipse because, you know, Jupiter, your other ruler, is in that third house. Whether there's something that comes into focus that has to do with like death or inheritance that forces you to travel. For some of you, it's going to have to do with like financial planning. And it might not just be your financial planning. You might be having to take responsibility for somebody else's finances because Saturn is in your first. Please understand that so much of this speaks to being prepared for a future culmination that isn't happening in this eclipse, that isn't happening in this moment, but it speaks to you having to be prepared for something that is going to happen. Even though that's not really how the transit, that's the energy that I keep picking up. You are having to make some major decisions to be prepared for things that are going to happen in the future. And the thing is like, it's having to accept what that means. Okay. So we've got some rougher cards. I'm going to do these first. 8 of Swords, 10 of Swords, and the Tower card. We do have some rougher cards, so put these out first. Here you go. 8 of Swords, 10 of Swords, Tower card. some of you are going to feel like you're hitting a brick wall with certain people. And again, if you are gaining a lot of attention, if you're having to take on certain responsibilities, there can be other people that are around you that they cannot stand that you're taking on this responsibility. They cannot stand that you are now the boss. They cannot stand that you are getting all of the benefit, that you're doing something. But that's their freaking problem, just to be absolutely clear. If something starts hitting some kind of wall, either in the workplace, because with the Mercury retrograde going through your second house of money, or something is going on with the family, because Mercury rules that fourth house of home, home life, and family, while the eclipse rulers are going through your first, just because they're not prepared for what you are prepared for doesn't mean that you're not the right fit. And again, once you start to show more of your personal strength and that you are capable of not only doing something that they've never seen you do before, something that can be completely new for you, but do it really, really well, King of Cups, they're going to have a whole different level of realization to your personal strengths, to your efficiency, to your way of doing things, to your way of thinking. Saturn has been in your first house since March of last year, but we didn't start having any direct transits to Saturn until we got into the last month of transits. So again, a lot of this energy speaks to there has been this weight of energy that has been growing within you that is now coming to a bigger flourishing, that is now coming to a bigger head. And so many people are still not used to the strength that you have, the energy that you have leveled up into. But with all of these transits going through your first house, it's going to bring more attention to you in good ways and bad ways. Now, with Mars and Venus going through your first house, some of you are going to be making the decision to spend additional money in the moment. This is an 8th house eclipse. Venus is in the first. You can be making the active decision to pay something off, and that doesn't have to be a bad thing. You can be making the active decision to deal with something tied to death or debt or taxes or inheritance. But it's like, I'm not going to continue after this moment. Like, I'm done with the financial planning. We're wrapping up this financial planning. We're wrapping up grandpa's stuff, whatever that has to do with. I'm done with dealing with this the way that I have been. But in other ways, many of you, once you pay off this other thing, or once you complete this other thing, it's going to make you far more focused and aware of this other side that you do need to put your energy into. And that can result in you guys spending some additional money. So in some ways, you can be getting a payoff or something getting finalized in one way. I'm so sorry. But in other ways, you can be starting to really make some big decisions as to like how you're going to be paying some things through, how you're going to be spending your money, where you're putting your money. And I feel like there's this big energy of like you guys having to put out a lot. So in one way, you could be like taking out a loan, like a HELOC or something like that. So that way you can spend or repair or do something over here. You're going to be spending a lot more money than you're used to. That's for sure. With Mars in the first and how long Mars is going to be in the first, you're going to be spending a lot more money than you're used to. Okay. That text message was one of my siblings, so I got to get off. So it's a good wrap up. I love and appreciate every single one of you. Most of my announcements have already been put into this episode and the last episode. So I will talk to everybody very, very soon. And yeah, subscribe.